Recording in progress.
Good evening, Chris. Maybe you're talking. We are not able to hear.
Your voice is not coming.
Oh my God! I started long before, and I was started explaining the.
Yeah, Chris.
Okay.
When you selected, then only I got to understand.
Okay, so fine. So let's get started, guys. So first of all, a spectacular afternoon for all. As you know, this is Chris, and welcome back to our session. So here we are going to discuss about two topics. One is Selenium expected conditions and then Selenium exceptions. So why we wanted to focus on these particular two topics, because when we have done these particular reviews, the code reviews, we felt that uh, we can handle much more better way the particular scenarios, so that it can reduce a lot of time and the code quality will be improved. And as of now, currently we are saying that these are the application performance issue, and then we are trying to say that all these are not related to us. But the matter of fact that those issues are from us, not from the application. So as it is going on, so we are saying that it is issues from the application, but really it is not an application issues. The way we need to handle from the automation script is it is not properly handled. So for that one, so first of all, we wanted to understand what you meant by exception, and how these particular exceptions to be handled in the Selenium, and what are the things we need to take care of. So that's the reason. So first we will be taking care of the exceptions. And as part of the exceptions, expected conditions, Selenium expected conditions would be part of this. So that's the reason. Let's get started with the Selenium exceptions first. And as part of this particular Selenium exceptions completed, then we will talk about the expected conditions, so that it can be have a chain link for this. Okay, if you understand the complete the Selenium exceptions and the expected conditions, whatever the stability issues which we are currently seeing it, or we are saying that particular performance issues which we are saying it, so all those things will be fixed up. So that's the reason. And so how to handle the things. So I given the same example when I was trying to explain for our team members. So now I'm going in a car. So now the car tire got flat. And now what I need to do, I need to take a step and need to rechange the car tire. And I got an engine issue. So I need to take care of that particular engine. And then I need to, for an example, the engine was overheated. So then I need to pour the water. When I have the flat tire, I need to, if I pour the water in the engine, will it work? No. When I have the flat tire, when I go and pour the water there, will it suffice? No. So we need to understand what is this exact exception and how we need to handle this particular exact exception. So this is most important. If you don't understand that one, so the basic problem we'll be writing is in the script level, we are not able to handle that particular exception. And whatever you do, sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. But how you should write the code is, if I write the code, but at any cost, that particular thing has to work for us. So that's how you should run. If it is getting failed, so that should be failed because of the application issue. So that's where we wanted to focus from the Selenium exceptions and then expected conditions. Let's get started with the Selenium exceptions first, and then we'll go for the expected conditions later part of the session. I see that it is not possible to complete both the things at one shot. We will see how much things we can able to complete it from the Selenium exceptions for today. And then let's plan this on some Monday or Tuesday for the next part of or the continuation of this particular session. Okay, let's get started over here. So now here today, what we wanted to discuss from the Selenium exceptions point of view is, so first we will be having a basic introduction from the Selenium or with this particular what you meant by exceptions and how these exceptions will be there. So we will be discussing about this, and then we will be talking about the Java exceptions. So quickly we will try to recap the Java exceptions, and then we will be trying to interlink the exceptions, Selenium exceptions with the Java exceptions, and we will take the list of Selenium exceptions from the Java docs, and then we will be taking the top 10 Selenium exceptions or whatever the list of exceptions, we have the links. So we go through this particular exceptions, and then we will have the documentation shares and all the things which we will try to do. We will try to do it. So for this itself, probably it might be taking an hour of time, but let's see how it will go. As part of this continuation, we'll go for this expected conditions. So this is what the plan of action. And guys, one disclaimer for the team who is means every day we are running it. So already we have been done this particular part. And if you wanted, you can stay back and listen. I don't mind. But if you already as this session would be the similar kind of session, whatever we have been discussed earlier. So if you wanted to stay back, so feel free to stay back. Or if you wanted to drop, so feel free to drop also. That doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, now without getting any delay, let's get started. Now, first we will try to talk about what you meant by this particular exception and then how it can be handled. So now I'll take an annotate and then I'll try to draw this and then we'll talk about this one. See, for an example, now the same thing which we have been earlier discussed. What do you meant by an exception? Suppose we need to understand what you meant by an exception and then other things we can quickly know it. And guys, and one more disclaimer which I was trying to give it. So already we have been in detail level, we have been discussed about the Java exceptions. So because now this Java exceptions only we are going to discuss now. So here I'll be going a little bit speed from the these particular exceptions from the Java exceptions point of view, and then more we will concentrate it from the Selenium exceptions. So because our topic is this, so as part of the introduction, so I will be giving the introduction from these Java exceptions, and then I'll be starting over here. Okay. Now let me quickly say that the exception. What you meant by exception means, for an example, I was just traveling from Chennai to Tirupati. So on a car, I was just traveling over here. Suddenly in my path, so my car got flat tire. So this is an unexpected thing, unexpected event. It came in my travel. So exceptions are nothing but it's an unexpected event occurred during the execution, then this is called the exception. So now I do have 10 lines of code, and on the 5th line of the code, if there is an exception occurred due to any reason, so see now my got when I was traveling, so even my car tire got punctured or flat, and or if at all my when I was trying to go, so at that point of time, just give me 1 second, I need to allow the people. Okay, at that time, so my engine got heated up or whatever the reason, so my journey would be interrupted over here. So that particular interruption is called the exception. Similar way, when you wanted to run, this particular, means for an example, I do have 10 lines of code. In this particular 10 lines of code, if I encountered with any one line in the middle, if I have been encountered with a particular exception, any category of the exception, if I have been encountered with that, so then what it will happen, the rest of code, okay, so ROC, just remember this word, so ROC, the rest of code will not be executed. So now I have 10 lines of code. Out of 10 lines of code, at the 5th line, I have an exception. So because of this particular exception, I can't execute the remaining lines of code. So that's where the exception will be occurred. So now we understand what you meant by a exception. Now, let me give me the same example. I need to handle this particular exception. So because that is where the most important thing. So if suddenly we got an exception, so how we can handle this? This is the same example I wanted to take it. So as I told you, I was traveling from Chennai to Tirupati. So on the car, my car tire got flat. So now what I'll be having, so how I need to handle this particular situation, I'll be having my Stepney, so the spare tire. So I'll go to that, I'll try to change that particular spare tire and then I'll continue my journey. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to handle the situation. So I was just predicting that if my car tire got flat, then I'll take my spare tire and I'll change it and then I'll move further. So how I have been predicted and then I have handled the situation. The similar way in your code, when you wanted to handle, you can predict that, oh, this is the code where it will go wrong. So if it goes wrong, so then you need to perform this. Guys, keep remember this. So actually for performing this one, we will be having five approaches to change this one. So if you wanted to handle your exception, so you'll have 5 approaches. One is try, one is catch, one is finally, and another one is throw and throws. Guys, as I told you, I'll not get into the details of this all because this is part of the Java exceptions, and then we have that particular session separately. But our concentration much more from the Selenium exceptions. Now you need to understand that for every statement, I need to keep the try catch block. I need to keep the try catch block, and then all my 10,000 lines of code I'll write here, and in the catch block I'll write that exception e dot get message, and then doing this. This is one of the wrong. This is not a mistake. This is a blunder, because when you are writing your lines of code, there are 2 type of statements will be there. What are the 2 type of statements? One is normal condition and another one is critical condition. See, now you have a normal patients and a critical patients. Now what we do, normal patients, we will keep it in the general one. Okay, it can be handled so that it's not a problem. But the critical patients, what you'll do, you'll keep it into the ICU. So means you need to monitor them consistently, and then you need to treat them the same way. When you have your lines of code, you need to take care that which is your critical statements and which is your normal statements. So Chris, how I need to know that this is a normal statement and a critical statement? For an example, I was trying to do some business logic. So for an example, I was taking that int a divided by b. So for an example, this is one of the smallest and frequently taken example which you'll be taking it. So now here I was writing some logic over here. So now there is lot of probability that if I given this particular value a equal to 10 and b equal to 2, then there is no problem. So definitely we can get the output as 5. But just imagine that there is a lot of probability that I can give b equal to 0. So when I have given the b equal to 0, so this will be, we are saying that it is divisible by 0, and then we'll be getting the answer. So you have to be, means wherever you feel that. See, now for an example, just you're writing a print statements. That's a normal statement that you don't require much thing. You are doing some declarations. Those are the normal statement. But you feel that you are trying to do some action. So what the particular action? For an example, I take the means the real time from our projects. I'll take the real time example. I'll try. I'll try to. I'll try to click a particular page. Means for an example, I was trying to make a particular order. So now order has to become, this particular order has to be placed, and it will stay in progress. And after this, what I need to do? I need to do a refresh. Then only this particular in progress will change to the complete status. Now, what I need to do for this particular category is, so at that point of time, I'll write my try block. Boss, you click on this, so order creation, so you'll be having in progress. And then after some time, you'll be keeping an explicit wait. So guys, you means for a quick understanding, explicit wait means if the object available at the first second, immediately it will keep. Or if it is, it will wait for a certain time, whatever the condition means, whatever the time which we have been given. For an example, we given it's 30 seconds. It will wait for 30 seconds and it will fail that and it will come out of the statement. or if you're able to get it in the 10th second, it will execute and then it will come back. Or if it is in the first second, it will execute that and it will go back. So now what it will do, so first I'll write for this particular, we have been created that particular order and we check this in progress. And we'll wait for the condition saying that boss, just wait for the complete text in this particular page. So we have waited for 30 seconds, it didn't display. Then now what we need to do here, at certain times, if the application was very good and it was in a health condition is very good, so the application will perform properly. At that point of time, you shouldn't give the heart rate or anything over here. Now, what we need to go it over here is you need to go for the catch block, saying that still if it is in this, because the condition has been failed here. Now, what you can do here is, so you can have some more 10 to 15 seconds, another 10 seconds time you can wait for here. And then what you can do is you can give a hard refresh method over here, and then you can validate whether the complete statement is displayed for you or not. So this is how the try catch block should be used. Catch block is not to write the SYSO get message, get not for that. So for explanation or for your demonstration purposes, the people used to write the try, and in the catch block they will write the SISO. So this is not for the SYSO, not for printing something. You need to see, boss, I catch the error. Now, how I should handle this error? So that is what you need to mention over here. Not for printing some error messages, because by default, Selenium will print that particular error messages. So you don't have to worry about the printing the error messages or getting the error codes or nothing, because all those informations you can get it from the logs. But why we required this particular catch statement over here is, so I got this error, I got this particular situation, means my car tire has been flat. So now what I need to do in the catch block, boss, you don't stop your execution, means you don't stop your journey, go back, change your tire and continue for your rest of statements. So now for this particular line only, you need to write the try catch block, and then for the rest of lines, if it is required, you can write it. If it is not required, don't write the try catch block at all. Because you should know where to write try and where to, means where for the normal statements, you shouldn't write the try catch block. Because what it will happen is, if you're trying to handle the exceptions, you will, even some genuine bugs also will be missed because of this particular try catch blocks. So you have to be so cautious in using this particular try catch blocks. So now because of this one, what it will happen is lots of your wait times can be removed out from this. However, we will discuss more in detail in the expected wait conditions. As I told you, right, in Selenium 3.1414.59, in that version, we do have 18 conditions, and the Selenium 4, the latest conditions, we do have 27 conditions for there. But what is the problem? I'll jump at least at the last, I'll talk about these particular pointers. Okay, so now overall, what you need to understand is, so when we have the block of code we have been written, in the block of code, whenever you feel that this is a critical statement where it may go wrong, so then you'll be keeping that one into the try, and then in the catch block, you will, if you get this particular exception, so how you are going to handle that exception, you'll be discussing over here. So this is what, this is how we need to use the try catch blocks for this. And here, how to handle this particular exceptions, we do have try catch, finally, throws. Okay, so these sessions, as of now for this particular session, I'm just keeping this one as the out of scope, because our intention is to talk from the Selenium exceptions point of view. So this is what the basic introduction, what is an exception, and if you got an exception, so how we need to handle the exception and how we need to use the try catch blocks. So we have been discussed till now. Now, what are the next pointers of the agenda? What is our next agenda as? So we'll go for Selenium exceptions. Okay, just give me, I'll clear up the screen. Okay, so now we have been done with this particular intro. Now in Selenium Java exceptions, so what are the quick things are there? Let's go and see over here. Now this is WebDriver exceptions, right? So okay, so now if you see here quickly, I'll not spend much time. Java exceptions. Okay, so now if you go to this particular Java exceptions, where is that? And okay, so now if you see here, uh, basically means what is our hierarchy. So many a times I think we have been discussed on this one. So quickly I'll give the recap. So what is the superclass for throwable?
Object.
Object.
That's it. That's it. So not for throwable. Anything, any class in Java. So superclass is throwable. So sorry, superclass is the object. So any class in Java, the superclass is throw. So superclass is object. Now, when it comes to this particular, when it comes to the Java exceptions, so the superclass would be the throwable. Means for throwable, superclass is object. Means you can say that by default this will be there. Okay. So on top of this one, you will be having the object. Okay, you don't need to worry about this. So this is what the superclass, because this superclass is for any class. Now keep it in mind when it comes to the collections, there are all we do have the interfaces. So but whereas in the exceptions, we will have only classes, no interfaces in this particular exceptions hierarchy. So now the grandfather is the throwable. So throwable have two sons. One is exception and then errors. So now the main father for the complete exceptions grandfather is throwable, and for grandfather it have two sons. One is exceptions and the errors. So the first thing you need means what is the basic difference between an exception and error means you need to remember this pointer very clearly. Exceptions can be handled, whereas errors can't be handled. So what are the different type of exceptions we'll be having it? Stack overflow exception, virtual machine exceptions, and out of memory exceptions. Out of memory exception errors are sorry, not exceptions, errors. Virtual machine errors, out of memory errors. Because under this one there are a lot of hierarchy, but for our discussion, errors are out of scope. So just you need to know means there is a throwable superclass, and for throwable we have exceptions and errors, and for errors we will be having stack overflow error, virtual machine error, and out of memory errors. Now when it comes to the exceptions, now exceptions will have two sums. So what are the two sums of the exceptions is checked exceptions, unchecked exceptions. What? Checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Now what is the difference between this particular checked and unchecked exceptions means? The name itself, it was saying that I can check before the execution, and I didn't check at least at the runtime I wanted to execute this. So checked exceptions are called compile time exceptions, and unchecked exceptions are called runtime exceptions. So now when you see the compile time exceptions means, for an example, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry. So what you meant by the checked exceptions is IO exceptions, SQL exceptions, and class not found exceptions. So these all things will fall under the compile time exceptions. Means when you do the compilation of your program, at that point of time itself, if you have any particular these exceptions, we can identify during your compilation time. Because you do have, right? So first you will compile, you will build, means during the compilation, .java file will convert it into .class file, and then it will go for the JVM, and the JVM will go for JRE for the execution. So these all things are basics we have been discussed earlier. Now we discussed about checked exceptions, and unchecked exceptions are called runtime exceptions. The name itself, it was saying that, boss, during the runtime I will come. So those are the things called runtime exceptions. So now during the runtime, we will get the arithmetic exceptions. I told you, right? So when you have been performing the some arithmetical operations, multiplications, divisions, or additions, subtractions, or any related to the mathematical calculations, if it is happening, so then that is called arithmetic exceptions. And we do have the null pointer exception. The name itself, it was saying that null pointer, we defined a variable, and then we wanted to point to that variable and fetch the value, but it is null, it was not assigned the value. Then we'll get this null pointer exception. And number format exception, so we have been defined it as an integer, but we are using it as a string. So then it will throw me as a number format exceptions. So index out of bound exceptions. So index out of bound means, for an example, in that particular drop down list box, I have 5 values, but I was trying to value. But there are only 5 indexes. You are trying to fetch for other out of index. So then we will get this particular out of index bound exceptions. We'll be getting it. Guys, I was just running over here because these all things we have been discussed in our previous sessions, and you know this all. So that major intention is to come back to the Selenium exception. So that's where I was maintaining a little bit tempo, but still you can stop. Means you can stop me anytime if you don't understand any pointers. Okay, so now for the index bound exception itself, if we are getting it from the arrays, so then it will called as array index bound of range, or if it is getting it from the select, then you'll be getting it as a string out of bound exceptions. Okay, so this is how you need to understand. So now first we understand what is an exception and when the exception will occur. If you have an exception, how to handle that particular exceptions, and what is the hierarchy of the exceptions, which we have been discussed now. So in the hierarchy of exception, we have throwable. Throwable have two sums, exceptions and errors, and it have checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions are the compile time exceptions. During the compile time itself, we can identify those exceptions. But whereas the runtime exception, at the runtime, you will identify these exceptions, and these are the different category of exceptions. And one more pointer you need to understand that exceptions is a class. Under this one, whatever the things you are seeing, all these things are the classes. Everything is a class. Now I can create an object for anything. So now this is what are exceptions, and now under means how this particular exceptions are connected with our Selenium exceptions. Even we should know it, right? So now in this particular hierarchy, I was not able to see any Selenium related things. We will not see. Why? Because this is the Java exceptions. Java is not specifically for designed for the Selenium. It can be generic. So Selenium was trying to adopt for the Java. Okay. Now, how Selenium exceptions are interlinked to this particular exceptions. So that is what we wanted to see now. So now let's do this. So I'll clear it off. Now for this particular thing, we do have always what you need to do is, guys, you need to follow. See, many websites will be there. So many websites are very important. They can have a very good information like Guru 99 or software testing, testing help, and many good forums are there, tools QA like that. But the problem is they have at that point of time they have been written all the up to date documentation they might be done. But it might be a very challenging for any particular portal or website to consistently maintain that particular latest information. So what is our strong recommendation is always you follow the respective tool documentation. It is not about Selenium. If you are using it anything, Protractor, WebDriver IO, or Cypress, or anything you are using it, try to follow the official documentation so that you can have an accurate information that what we need to do. So now this is the Selenium documentation. So this is because this should be our Bible. And then from here, whatever there is, we are having the information. That's a single source of truth, which we will have that. So now this particular documentation, the version number is 2.501. So this is what the documentation number. Even this is also mandatory because based upon the version, you need to identify this. Okay. Now let's see the hierarchy. So now how this particular Selenium was integrated or interlinked with the exception. So this is what we wanted to see now, right? So now if you see here, what I told, what we discussed. So now actually if you see, the object is a super class, and under the object you have throwable. So throwable have two sons. That son is not required now. Here we are talking about only the exceptions. So then it will go to the exceptions, and under the exceptions we will be having the runtime exceptions. We discussed what is a runtime exceptions and how we are trying to do. So this is the runtime exception. So under the runtime exception, so here it starts from here. If you see here, this is where it has been tied up. The Selenium WebDriver exception. So this is where it has been interlinked with it. So this is the pointer where it has been interlinked with the Java exceptions. Now, if you go to the WebDriver exceptions, so now if you see here, this is what the documentation. If you see here, this is what the WebDriver. So now object throwable exception, runtime exception, and then WebDriver exception. Under the WebDriver exception, you can see whatever the exceptions you have it, all the exceptions will be coming over here. So this is how, so this hierarchy was created. Now, Under the WebDriver exceptions, you will be having these all exceptions, and under these exceptions, you will have multiple exceptions. For an example, now not found exception. If you click on this particular class, always you need to remember in this one we have all the classes. Now you see under the WebDriver exceptions, we have not found exception because this is the most frequent thing which you will get it. Okay, in this one, what are the things are there? You can understand by seeing these error messages. Day in, day out, you will find these exceptions. No alert present. When we will say this no alert present, when we are trying for an alert box, if alert box is not there, then we'll get the no alert exception. No such context and no such element, no such frame, no such Windows exception. So for all Selenium exceptions, so Selenium WebDriver exception is a parent class. And for this particular parent class, you will be having the child class, and child class will be having separate child classes, subclasses. So these are the subclasses which it has been tagged back to the parent class. Now I'll show you how easy it is to understand these particular exceptions. This is one of the wonderful article which it was given by the Kethlon. So Kethlon is also one of the tool. So those guys has been usually any particular tools they wanted to promote them, they'll create the blogs and documentation. So this is where they have been given a very good blog on Selenium exceptions. In Selenium, overall, we do have 43 exceptions, which we need to know it from the Selenium. Out of this particular 43, if you know 20 exceptions, I'm sorry, I was using the mouse. If you know 20 exceptions, that's enough. You can play around. Why we need to know, Chris? What is the reason? Without knowing this one, is it a problem for me? I can go and browse the Google, guys. I know that there is a puncher. Immediately, I can change the puncher. If it's in the engine, so there is an igniting problem. So I can go, if I know the problem, oh, if the car is not getting started, oh, I have some igniter problem, then you can go and change the igniter problem. So I told you, right? If you don't understand your problem, you can't give you the solution for that. So if you know, okay, this is the problem, then this would be the answer. This would be the solution. Without knowing the problem, then if you're going to the Google and searching for this, you will never get that. I'm telling you, right? Without knowing this one, what we are trying to say is, oh, there is an application issue. These all things are related to the application issues, not related to the automation script issues. But the matter of fact is, those are our automation script issues, not the performance issues. So just we are trying to blame on the application. So now we will see, we can understand by seeing this one. So I'll give you a small example here. Now for if you drag this one, okay. Now let's talk about only 5 to 6 exceptions. By this itself, you can understand where we are doing our mistake. Now, this is one basic exception, connection closed exceptions. What is this connection closed exception means? We can have very clear documentation here. This exception takes place when there is disconnection of the driver. Means what we will be doing it. Our first line of code for writing any particular test case, WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver or Firefox driver, which browser we are working on it. So we write that particular statement. So this particular driver object, we will take it. And for this particular driver object, you will be giving all your comments. Very simple. We know this, Chris. Now, if this particular driver object is closed or this driver object is crashed for any particular reason, but still you're trying to execute that particular command. The object is not there. You're trying to execute this particular command. Then you'll get this particular error. See now, will you forgot this one? Whenever you see this particular exception, what is your immediate check? Was my driver got crashed. So I need to go and check where the driver was crashed or closed. If you know that, means you know the problem, then you know the answer. You will go and fix this. Now, let's come to the element intercepted exception. This is the most frequent you'll be getting it. But what we will try if you get this one, we'll go on giving the weight. If you give the weight, it will go. Answer is no. See, now what you are trying to do is, I have heart problem, but you are doing kidney surgery for me. How wrong it is. See, now when I have the heart problem, I need to take the treatment for the heart, not for the kidney. The same way, when it was saying that element is clicked intercepted exception, see, the command could be complete, the element is receiving, the event is concealing the element which is requested request. Okay, don't understand this one, perfectly fine. What it was happening is, there is a particular object, this object I need to click on this. object 1. But what it was happening is there is another object, so which is object 2. I wanted to click on this object 1, but as I wanted to click on this object 1, this object was hidden behind this particular object 2. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to click on this particular object, but this object was hidden behind this particular object. So that's where you're getting this issue. Now, what is will you give the wait will work? It will never work. Now, what you need to do is you need to identify the hidden object and then you need to click on this particular object. So how to identify the hidden object? So now there is a concept of shadow DOMing and all other things are there. That exception, how to handle it, that I'll try to talk about later. Okay, now just I'll talk about element not interactable exception. This is also one of the most frequent. When you are debugging your code every day, you will be encountering this element is not interactable. Name itself, it was saying that self-explanatory. Boss, I'm not interactable. See, when I take the screenshot, I wanted to click on continue button, continue and save button for an example. I wanted to click on this. In the screenshot, I was having the button, but I'm not able to click on this particular button. Why? See, the basic problem it is what it was saying that when the Selenium will throw this particular exception is when the element is present in the DOM. DOM is document object model, which is our HTML page. I'm able to see, I'm able to have this particular element in the page, but I'm not able to interact this particular button, boss. Selenium was crying, saying that, boss, I'm able to see the particular object in the DOM. I'm not able to interact that. So let me make that particular object to get interact for this. So that is what then it will throw this particular end. Will this will be solved by giving the weights? You give how much time you given the weight, it will not work because the element is not able to interact, boss. So how I need to interact with this? These all answers you'll be getting it in the expected weight conditions. I told you, right? Why I wanted to take that session as second part is now for this particular problem. So that is what the solutions. Now what it was happened is, for an example, now what it will means expected continue and save, right? In our framework and the codes, we have used weight condition, means explicit weight condition. We have condition used for presence of element, visibility of the element. And presence of element, I'll wait for 30 seconds and visibility of element 30 seconds. Element is present in the DOM. It is present, but it is interactable. No, so that this condition failed. Element visible in the page. Element is visible in the DOM. Yes, but it is not interactable. This is failed. We are using only these conditions. Boss, we do have 27 conditions, boss. Why you are using only these two conditions? At this point of time, what you need to do? We need to check that element is clickable. We need to check. Element is clickable. What this will do is, it will enable that particular element unless the element is enabled, it will wait, and then if it is ready to click, then it will click and then it will proceed. So you need to use this method. You need to wait for this particular condition, not for these two conditions. So when you got this particular element not interactable, then you need to use this condition. See, when I ask you, boss, whether you use the explicit condition means explicit condition will not have this only two conditions, right? Explicit condition will have multiple conditions. So for an example, now if I show you, means you'll be writing the code, right? What you will be writing it, expected conditions until dot presence of element. This is what you will be writing it. But there is no only two methods, presence of visibility. There are 27 methods. See appropriate method which it can be applicable over here. See, the problem statement, what we will be having is, I used explicit weight, I used the thread.sleep, but it was not working. This is the application issue. Absolutely not. So here we are clearly saying that, boss, this is not interactable. Go and check this. Now, second statement, the fourth exception, not selectable. I'm trying to select something from this drop-down list box. Then it was saying that the element I'm not able to select. It was saying that it is in DOM. See now, the exception thrown when the element is present in the DOM. In the DOM it was there, but it is unable to select for this. Selenium is saying clearly, boss, I'm not able to interact to that element. Do see the best means another probable solution. What it will be doing is you can do a hard refresh for this. See now at this point of time, what I'll try to do, I'll write the try block. okay, for continue and save button, it is not working. For this particular button, I'll write try and catch statement. If it is working fine, then go ahead with this. Or else if the exception occurred, then go here and then try to click with the help of the element click. And then you, even after that, just do a hard refresh and then try to see whether the element is interactable or not. That is what you need to do it. So you need to write the try catch block there. Simple problem solved. If it is not, every time we will say that sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. So then it will be failure. On the retry also it will failure. Same issue. And we will simply say that application is having the problem. Here, see, I understand there is an problem with the application. Application should be able to interact. But the problem here is Selenium is not able to interact with the application. This is not application issue. This is Selenium tool not able to interact with that particular object. That is what it was trying to say, this exception. And you see here, element not visible. This is another most, if you have 100% errors, we'll have at least 30 to 40% errors are element not visible exception. What do you meant by element not visible exception? You need to first know it. Then you can give the solution for that. What it was saying is, this type of exception takes place when an existing element in the DOM. You see it, the existing element on the DOM means the element is existing in the DOM, but it was hidden. Means when you take the screenshot, you are seeing that particular object. See, in the DOM, you are able to see that particular object. But what is the problem is it's a hidden object. If you have a hidden object, so how you need to identify that particular hidden object? So you need to see, now you understand the problem. So when I get this particular element not visible exception means object is present, but it is in hidden mode. So now how I need to get this particular object identified? By giving the weights, it will not work. What we need to do over here is we need to identify how the hidden objects we need to, how we need to work with the hidden object. So that is what the solution for this. Not weights. And next, if you see here, these are the very frequent issues, right? Now I'll show you another very frequent issues. If you see, these are things are there. So now these are in the error response, means the API response was not happened. Those all things will be there, and these are specifically for the mobile. You can just read through this and you can easily understand. It's very simple. So the name itself, it's a self-explanatory. We can understand from this one. Now I'll get to some very frequent issues which we having it. See now from 20 to 27, you see these all almost the same exceptions every day in day out you'll be seeing in your execution file. Now what you'll say, no alert present exception. What it was trying to say, the name itself it was trying to say, when there is an alert, what you will try to do, we have alert methods are there. What are the alert methods? What are the alert methods? Accept, okay, dismiss, get text. Okay. So those are the okay methods is not there. So we will be having accept, dismiss. Accept means either it's a okay or yes, all those methods will fall into the accept. Dismiss means cancel, no, all those things will be there. And get text. So we will be reading this particular text method. So now what you are trying to do, you are trying to click on accept. But what the problem is, when you try to access that particular accept method, alert itself, it was not there. What it was happening is, this is the synchronization issues. See, for an example, I clicked on a button, immediately this has to pop up the this particular alert box, and on the alert box, I need to click this. But what it happened, as soon as I clicked on this particular button, it was taking some time for this to open this particular alert box. Before that, we are trying to click on accept button. See, if the button is, this particular box is there, then I can open this and then I can click on this. But if this box, even if it's not open, then how I can go and click on this? So immediately what it will try to do, no alert present exception. For this one, we need to give the weights. No hard weights, explicit weights you need to give it. Explicit weight for this particular alert box. This is what you need to do it. And next one, the probable solutions is this. See now, you know the problem. By seeing the exception, you should be able to say that this is what the solution is. And now no such attribute exception. What are the attributes?
Get it.
What are the attributes? See,
The
in
value.
this particular HTML page, you will be having the tags, right? So now this is the ID. So the properties or the characteristics of that particular tag is called attributes. Now for this particular image attribute, so ID is this what? This is what the attribute, and the height, width, style, all. So these are all the attributes of this particular image tag. So now we are not able to find, you are trying to identify, you are trying to search for an attribute which is not there. Means this is a development issue. See, previously he has been given with this, and now he has been removed this particular ID from this particular tags. Now what it will throw? No such that attribute has been changed. Something either it will be changed or it will be removed by the dev team. But still we are trying to fetch this one. So most probably this no such attribute will come for the checkboxes radio buttons. Why? Because we will depend more on these attributes for checkboxes and radio buttons. If you remember, Hari, recently we were discussing about getting the attributes and the properties of particular checkbox we are discussing, right? At that point of time, you'll get this one. So when you got this error, it is very simple. You need to go back, see, oh, this attribute is not there. I need to rechange that. If you understand these exceptions, your debugging time will come for a fraction of seconds. Now, no such context. Actually, this is related to the mobile, so that's where I'll keep this one apart. So I'll just go to the next set of things, which is most important thing for us. Anyways, I'll be sharing all these particular links to you. You just need to spend. You see here, he said 7 minutes read. Insights. If you spend 7 minutes, you can understand this. Okay, probably you need to spend another 15-20 minutes of time on this one. So just try to give on this particular thing. So then let's see. Just give me 1 second, please. Continuously I'm getting call. I don't know what is an emergency. I'll just back them. I'm very sorry, guys. So consistently, I was getting that call. That's where I attended it. Okay. Now, as I told you, so this would be for the mobile, and then if you wanted to search for the cookies exceptions. Okay. So now come back to the cookies. For an example, I wanted to buy something in the Amazon or Flipkart. I added that particular cookie. Means for an example, I added that particular product. Now, when you add that product, even when you open the next time that particular page, you can see that particular product is added there itself. So this is called browser cookies. Cookies is nothing but it's a file where you can have the key pair value, and then it will store that particular information until unless you go and do delete hardly. Means when you try to clear your history, when you are trying to clear your history, it will ask you want me to delete your cookies. Until that particular time, it will be having this one. When you are testing for the retail practice sites, at that time you'll be doing the cookies testing. So this is where the profiles and options will come into the picture. So now when you're trying to test that one, you're trying to test for a cookie which is not available, then you'll get this particular exceptions. Now, next one is no such element exception. This is most frequent, means 40 to 50% of errors you'll be getting this one. See, it was saying that no element exception. What it was trying to say, the element couldn't be found, means the XPath which will have been written is wrong. Simple. So now we are saying that this element is not there at all. So now what you need to do, the first suspect is the culprit is the XPath. Second culprit is the synchronization speed was more. So whenever you get no such element exception, immediately you need to write your XPaths very uniquely. And the second pointer is there you need to write the synchronization issues. This is definitely a synchronization issue. I need to wait for a certain time. So there you need to use the explicit wait, not thread.sleep. So that is what you need to do it over here. And no such frame exception means, because right, almost our applications are a frame inside a frame. Now what you are trying to do, you are switching from parent to the child or child to the parent. Means from one frame to another frame, you're trying to go at that point of time. you'll get failed there because it was not switched to next frame because the frame is not available. Why? Means what was the problem is either here the frame name was wrong or the synchronization speed of the application is wrong. So here you need to do the same thing, the frame name and then synchronization issue. You'll be checking if you have the no such frame exception, you'll be having it. And when you have no such element exception, there will be another biggest culprit is also there. So this element would be in the frames. So what you need to do, you need to go to that frame and then you need to access. See, I need to access my my mobile. So it was in my safety locker. So I need to open the locker and then I need to take it. So it's there in Birva. So from outside, can I get that one? No, I need to open Birva. I need to open the locker and then I need to take the mobile phone. So now what you are doing it, you're opening. The same way, the Selenium also, you need to guide the Selenium because Selenium doesn't know anything. Whatever you guide, it will do the same. So first you go to this frame and go to this frame and identify this one. So how you will understand that one is, so you need to understand the code. So how it has been there. So the hierarchy of that one first you need to understand. Then only you can access. See now under this div, I have an anchor. Under this I have the title. Under this one, I have the G with the same level. And here I have this particular part. If I wanted to access this one, I need to follow this hierarchy. Then only I'll get this. So that is what you need to follow it. So most probably you'll get these errors, these both errors, or there is one small tip. Wherever you see this no, all these things because the XPaths and synchronization issues and under the frame, the switching issues. So these would be the reasons for this all. So no such element, no such frame exceptions you'll be getting it. And now you'll have windows. I told you, right? Multiple windows would be open, right? So now which window I need to open? So for an example, if I click a particular button, so now for an example, there is another window, it comes to me. So now I need to handle this window and then this is my parent window. So this, the background is a parent window. As soon as I clicked it, it opened me another page. See now this is another window. So this is one window, this is another window. So this is the home page, the parent window, this is the child window. So now how I need to handle this one? So that is what the windows get handled or handles method you'll be using it and handling. As soon as I click this pop-up is open. But when I was doing a Selenium, it will happen in the nanoseconds. So at that point of time, it may not be identified. So at that point of time, it will say that, boss, you're asked me to work on that particular window, but the window is not there. So now what you need to do? Synchronization. Very simple. So like this, you'll be having it. You tell me if you have been gone through these 43 exceptions. And out of this 43, probably 20 exceptions which you'll get it every day. If you understand the particular exception, providing a solution for that one, is it not easy? Is it not easy that we need to give these try-catch blocks at that particular point of time? See, the basic problem, what we are trying to do is, for any exception, we are doing only two things. One, we give the wait, or we will rerun. Rerun will not do the magic. See, without making any changes, do you think that rerun will pass? Certain times it will pass, not for all the times. So that is what the first thing we need to remember. And the second thing is the most important. This would be having the follow-up session. So if you will understand in this particular follow-up session what I need to use it. So now I'm telling you, right? For an example, now you see, always you will be using it. Okay, I was using the wrong windows. Expected conditions. Always, if you see here, we do have this many expected conditions. But out of this all expected conditions, we are using only two expected conditions. One is the presence of element or the visibility of the element. Why? See, if it is a text, we are verifying it. Use this text to be present in the element. And if you wanted to click an element, see, check this element to be clicked. And see, now we are using the explicit wait. When I asked you whether you use explicit wait, means explicit wait you are using means you need to use all these 27 methods. It's not that only that two methods which was there. When I want to try to click on that one, use element to be clickable. You see how means how clearly they will be giving this. The expectation for this one is checking an element is visible and enabled such that you can click it. So you need to select this particular things. When you're clicking on a particular button, you need to use element to be clickable. And when you are selecting something, if you are working with the frames, so at that time you need to use this particular frame methods. And when you're playing with the particular text, you need to use this particular text methods. And you're playing with the URLs, then you need to use the URL methods. And when you're selecting this, we'll have select methods also here. Element selection state to be, element selection state to be. So it will check, means it will clearly check whether the element can be selected, whether that can be in a state that it can be selectable or not. So these are the conditions which you need to use it over there. So, but what we are trying to do is for everything, for text, for a button, for a radio button, for a checkbox, everything, we are trying to use presence of element, and we are using the visibility of element. With this one, so how that particular issue can be sorted out? And you can use multiple conditions. You can use OR condition, and you can use AND condition. You can we can use multiple expected wait conditions. Boss, wait for this, or wait for this, wait for this. If any condition satisfied, you can go. If you use OR, OR means either this condition should be true. AND means this condition should be true, this condition should be true. Then only you can go for further. Use that multiple conditions. Why you are restricted only for wait for presence? Use wait for presence and element to be clickable. You tell me, then the script will fail? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Then if it is getting failed, then write the catch block. In the catch block, refresh that and probably write the solution for that there. So what is the first pointer we shouldn't miss over here is understand your problem clearly. Know your problem, then you can give the right solution. If you don't know the problem, you will be giving a lot of solutions, which it doesn't matter for that. So overall, so what I would request you all is go back, and these all the list of documents, means all these documents, means even the official documentations which we have been discussed, all these particular official documentations also have been listed down. So I'm just pinging in this particular chat, and however I have been kept this one in our repository also. So go back to the repository. I'll stop sharing. Just because I need to give it in the chat, I was keeping here. I'm stopping the recording.